Alright, welcome to this basic tips and tricks in NX. It is somehow release independent, I must say. A lot of things are already there a couple of years. And also experienced users might pick up a couple of things about it. The first thing I would like to explain is about roles actually, but let me first create a new file. Just a part, wherever. If you have installed NX and you don't change anything, normally you get this very basic layout of NX, and then actually you are thinking, okay, where are a lot of other commands? Well, you cannot find them, or anyway, it's hard to find them, I would say. So what you can do is say go to the roles option, go to content, and select the advanced role. The reason why NX is starting up with only a limited amount of icons is because in the past people thought NX is overwhelming. Well, I would say, well, this is also doable. Hey, you have things like more, those kind of things. Let me just start by creating a block and let's continue from there. So I make a block of 3000, and what you then see is, well, the clipping is not actually correct. That's a graphics thing. What you only need to do is press the right mouse button and hit the F4 button, or just fit. So with fit, that problem is solved, and if you start rotating your model with your middle mouse button, everything is okay. Middle mouse button rotate, also zoom in, middle mouse button and right mouse button pressed in, and you can pan your model. That's an easy thing to do. If you want to change dimensions, what could you do? Well, one thing you could do is double click on that feature and then you see the dimension. Sometimes it's also handier to just have the details pane open, and then in the details pane all the dimensions of that feature are visible. So I can easily say, okay, make this block 200. So I have fitted it. How did I do that? Well, there are a couple of hidden commands. If you press and hold the right mouse button, you see those commands. What I want to point out is if I drag my mouse now to the left bottom corner, I go to the fit option. But you don't actually have to wait for that function to come up. So if I zoom out a bit and I quickly do this. So I quickly move with my right mouse button pressed and hold to the left bottom, it's doing that. Sometimes things happens like this, that you think, oh, what happened? Well, what happened is that you press and hold it, the right mouse button, and by accident you shift your mouse button below. It's easy to repair, just move it up and you have the fully shaded model again. All right, let me make a sketch on this face, and over here let's make it a rectangle and a circle, and I don't trim it. Why don't I trim it? Because I would like to show you a couple of things that we are able to do. A rather smart selection of curves, I would say. So if I'm going to extrude this, depending on how the settings are set, I get different results. So as you now see, when I press OK, what the system did is actually automatically found the outer boundary of that sketch. So you don't have to trim, in a lot of cases, the entities. Let me remove that extrude and let me do it again and show you some other things. So I would say use these options in a smart way. So for example, I can say region boundary curves, and then I just select in a certain area, and I can say, okay, I want to extrude this and this area and that area. With the shift I could deselect those areas, for example, and then say, this is an extrude, and I also want to extrude these options. The difference between apply and OK is if I say apply, then a new extrude dialog box is appearing. But if I don't need it, then I just press OK. Alrighty. Another thing to explain is if I now go to Edge Blend, I might miss a couple of options over here. Over here you have this button. if you think, oh, I would expect some extra options in the dialog, sometimes the dialog box is set to less. If you then select it to more, you get a lot of extra options. Also over here, I got R5, R8. What you could do in NX is just make some favorites, and in a favorite you can store predefined values. So if you quickly want to create a blend of 5 or 8, you can do it like that, and you can also make a menu button out of that. But I'm not going to cover that, I would say. Okay, let me create this blend over here. Alrighty, let's move it a bit. Apply, because I want another blend. And by default, the blend option is set to tangent, as you can see. What I can do is with the right mouse button change it to, for example, another option. That's with every selection, just select the edge what you have selected with the right mouse button again, and I can say okay, single. Does it make sense in this case? Not really, but sometimes it's handy to use that function. Another thing I want to show you, if I now say extrude and I want to sketch on this plane, if I now select this face, well, I got a strange preview, I would say. Yeah, that comes because the system is still looking at the region boundary curves. Why? Because by default dialog memory is on, so everything you do is being saved. So it's just looking with the extrude to the previous selection what you did. What can you do in that case? Well, I can change this selection, but I can also reset my dialog. Sometimes that's easy if you're confused about the result that you get. Just reset the dialog. If I now select this plane, I'm just entering the sketcher. Well, let me create this one. Also be aware of these settings. So now it has created a unite. If I drag it, then it becomes a subtract. If I say, for example, 0, I could also say I am creating just a new solid. So if I create a new solid and I create an edge blend, then you will see that blend, make it a bit smaller, of course, that the blend is being created like this. Yeah, that's because of the result of that. Another thing I could point out is if you would like to know how the model is being built up, just select over here that column at current feature, and then you see it. Remove this one, change this one to a unite, for example, and create the edge blend again. And the middle mouse button, by the way, it remembers actually the last button click, so it remembers the OK function, which can be pretty handy, I would say. Another thing. Let me change my model a bit like this. And that is selecting objects that are actually on another side. So, for example, if I want to select somewhere an edge at the back of this model, it is being highlighted in this case. It's also a setting, by the way. No. Let me show another thing. I would like to select the face that I'm not able to see. Now, what can I do? I can rotate my model, of course. But if you stand still a while of the area of that face, these 3 dots are popping up. If I'm now going to select it, I get a selection of, oh, what do you want to select? That face or that edge or that face. So then it's actually looking at all the options in the direction of my mouse. So just wait a while, and then that pop-up is appearing. But I would advise you to not do that, but just press and hold the mouse for a split second, because then automatically you get that list. So, alright, sketch is something again, it doesn't matter. So that quick pick, that is also working in every option. So it's in assemblies, in modeling, in everything. Another thing, what I see a lot of people doing is if they want to revolve or extrude or sweep something, always create a sketch But in many cases, that's not needed. If I, for example, I just can say I'm going to select a single curve, then select this curve, then a direction is appearing. I can go to this option to change the direction. But I can also do a lot with on the preview button. So right mouse button over here, I can also change the direction. In this case, I can make it an offset to sided, right mouse button, change the boolean to unite, for example, unite it to this block, all right. So what I'm showing now is that you can change a lot of inputs with the right mouse button. But in this case, the example was also that you just can select existing geometry without creating an extrude in this case. Command finder, that's sometimes a very easy thing to do. Yeah, for example, if I start typing in pet, you see pattern feature, it's already over there, but also pattern body, you see a lot of pattern options. If you would like to know, okay, where's my sweep? Well, if I type in sweep, you already get a variation of sweep, sweep along guide. There's also a way that the system is pointing you to the correct location of that. And if you click on it, then automatically the dialog box appears. All right, a couple of other things. These settings. Right, if I want to place a hole on the middle of this model, it automatically, as you can see, snaps to it. But let me change the size of this one. And so it automatically snaps to that midpoint because of this setting. So, for example, if I also turn on this one, yeah, it also snaps to just a regular point on that face. Is that handy in this case? Well, I couldn't say it, but sometimes if you place a hole, it is anyway a nice thing that it all automatically snaps to the arc center. All right, and in this case, it is associative. The F8 button is sometimes handy to use. If I press F8, then the system is rotating to this orientation. If I do this, press F8, or this, press F8. Yeah, well, you could also use these options, of course. But that's a handy thing to do. Another thing might be, well, it's in the view menu, but press the Control key with the W, and then you can quickly say, okay, I don't want to see the sketches and I don't want to see the datums. Or you do want to see them, you can also say show all. Well, these were some basic tips of the NX user interface. Thank you, and I hope you picked up a couple of things out of this.